Have you ever dealt with colorism? Yeah, my sister always made fun of me for being dark when I was a child and I developed a complex about it. I've since grown out of it. She makes similar jokes to her son who is my complexion and I can't stand it. Some of my mom's church family friends would show favoritism towards light-skinned children and were a bit harder on us darker ones. It was disheartening when I was a child, but thankfully it doesn't bother me anymore. Yup, every so often when fellow black people say they think be lighter skinned is more attractive. People in school say colorist things. And it's mostly the black men or mixed kids. I don't like it and I take no part in colorism, because you can be lighter and be the same race, and nothing would have changed. I'm just upset our media has given it power. Chris Brown, light skin Keisha, blah blah blah. Yeah, both in relation to being darker and lighter skinned. I have super changeable skin, so my skin color goes from a light beige when I haven't been in the sun for a few months to a solid brown caramel in the summertime. So I get the experience of both being brown skinned and light skinned depending on the season. Usually it's more subtle things when I'm with my darker friends, like with guys being idiots about it. My family can be super problematic with it as well. I'm super confrontational about it though. I will definitely fight people on the issue. Mostly with words, but one time I was outside a club with some of my friends, two of which were mixed and about my complexion, one being darker skinned and two being Asian, Middle Eastern, and the leader of a group of guys were like, "Damn, the five of you bad," and we were like, "Lol, we're six," and he was like, "I know," and then just stared at my dark skinned. I pushed that guy and I don't regret it at all. I think the rudest thing anyone has ever said to me personally was last year after summer break, so I was brown, where a guy told me that I was much cuter when I could pass the paper bag test. I almost cried even though it was so stupid. Yikes. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. It's complicated. I'm brown skin, so never got bullied or joked about for being too dark, and never felt categorically ignored by men. But I do remember feeling some implicit inferiority in school, that I was too black to be pretty without something being fixed. Everyone seemed to agree that the pretty black girl was the one with light skin and green eyes. I don't know. I'm brown skinned and didn't really learn about colorism until I went to university. When I did, I couldn't relate to the stories of either dark skinned or light skinned people. I never really thought about my skin color growing up and no one ever really said anything about it. Ah, I see your flair, says Canada. I lurk on, Ask Latin America because I think it's interesting. One thing I was surprised by when there was a "What about THUS surprises, perplexes you" post, and one of the top answers was how the US is obsessed with race. So, I point out your flair cause it always surprises me when people from other countries say things like, "I never really thought about my skin color growing up." That blows my mind, and apparently that's not normal in some other countries. Who knew? I should clarify, colorism and racism are definitely things that exist here. I think my experience of not thinking about my skin color comes at least in part from the fact that I am not light-skinned or dark-skinned. I think I'd have a very different experience if I was either of those things. This is how I felt, but mostly because I grew up in a very diverse suburb and everyone in my Nigerian family is dark-skinned. Then when I went to college I only hung out with the black frats, sororities and the black student union. Basically colorism for me as a dark-skinned black woman was more amplified when I was in black spaces, because there you really see how much black men, even the most woke, would always gravitate towards light skin. But it was also apparent in white spaces. Like the only black girls in the white frats were all mixed. I honestly didn't even feel inferior in regards to my skin tone until college. Now I don't care, but then it was rough. Same here, brown-skinned girl who really didn't experience it. Although, my sister is light-skinned and she may have different experiences. I've definitely had different experiences from my sister. She's lighter than me most of the time, avoids tanning while I love the sun, and she's reported getting a lot of distrust from both white people and dark-skinned people. I got a bit of not black enough for being nerdy, but nada for my skin. I was raised by my black family, while sister chose our white parent, who is a huge racist. As a result, my sister had come to emphasize her mixed background, avoiding tanning, obsessively straightening her hair, and marking other as her race. I feel like she hasn't been as comfortable with her blackness, but she's started embracing it recently as she started dating someone very active in the black community. Still refuses to cut ties with racist parent, though. I would get, not black, enough or all, for my skin undertone, my hair color, my eye shape, my way of thinking and for my voice. However, many of that was from other black folks, along with Asian and Arabs, from what I remember. My sister is liberal, for the most part. To be honest though, I'm not sure if she knows she can benefit from colorism. I am mixed black, white and I think my lighter skin definitely makes me more white friendly. Throw in some code switching and you'd be surprised, or maybe not at this point, at what white people will say in front of you when you're not sensitive like the others. 100% this. I'm not white passing, but I definitely notice a difference in how I'm treated versus my darker sibling. We notice how we're treated differently than my lightest sibling. We all have the same parents, but present very differently, and it's apparent how that affects how we move through life. What white people will say in front of you because you're not like the others. This happens surprisingly often in my life and it's so gross. Just black enough to be the obligatory POC person in their life, but just not black enough to keep them comfortable in their filth. No, not yet, but I have experienced texturism. What's that? It's discrimination based on hair texture. If we have two girls with the same complexion, but one has 4C hair and the other has 3C hair, the one with the looser curl pattern holds privilege over the one with the kinkier curl pattern. It's just like a subdivision of colorism. I heard of that but didn't know there was a name. Well, thanks for info. I deal with it constantly when I'm out with my lighter complexioned friends or family members. I feel like people gravitate more towards them and show more comfort where it's the opposite with me. One dark-skinned guy even told a friend of mine who was complaining of being single that she's light-skinned, so that's already a plus. When you're darker you can see the difference of treatment dramatically. Being a dark-skinned woman, it's as if you don't exist at times. Yes, my city I'm from is mostly Hispanic, Latino and African American. Like most black people I get darker in the summer and lighter in the winter seasons. I would say that I'm in just between light skin and brown skin. The prejudice that I got from the Hispanic people has attacked me since I was a child. I have Hispanic friends, mostly Mexican and Puerto Rican, and the parents would always talk negatively about black features and darker skin when I came around. Either it be my skin or my features. This even went in high school. My classmates in high school who was from China spent every day telling me that my skin color was ugly. She bullied me in a way that I couldn't tell our teacher. My white classmates lived in a bubble and didn't see anything of it. It was terrible. I'm in college now, I still deal with it pretty often, but I've thickened my skin. Yup. I'm a lighter skinned woman and the jokes never end. Ever. Hello, thank you for watching this video and do watch my other videos. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, do comment and like also. Bye bye.